You'll be my forever friend. This love will never end. No, no, nothing can come between us. No, never with you.
I will do two things. One, I will say the full statement for anyone who might not have caught the other previous episodes. And then I will definitely disclose to you guys what I think my superpower is and what it would look like for me to completely submit to it. So first, let me say this, the full statement that last line is completing. All right. So the full statement goes like this. Some people hear, but they don't listen. Some people listen, but they don't understand. Some people understand, but they don't accept. Some people accept, but they don't receive. Some people receive, but they don't embrace. And ta-da, we're at our last line tonight. Some people embrace, but they don't submit. And I put in, well, not with you guys, but in a lot of, I've been posting little snippets of videos in regards to what we're talking about. And I basically said that right, to have a healthy, long lasting relationship, it requires full submission, right? It requires full submission, letting go of your pride, letting go of your ego, trusting the process thoroughly, embracing wholeheartedly what it is that you have vowed, right, to be in the relationship. But then it also takes that, if we take it out of the context of relationships, it also applies to us pursuing our God-given purpose here. So I guess in presenting it to you guys, I wanted to hopefully give you a kind of progressive or process of how we can develop or give you a pathway to true connection, right, in relationships and sustaining that true connection, but as well as it be a process and a progressive movement of how we finally get to the point where we're like, I am focused, completely driven, completely sold out on what it is that I'm here to do, and whatever it takes to get there. I love the statement that I usually say, which is believe in yourself at all costs, right? That no matter what challenges, what obstacles that come your way, you're going to continue to pursue, continue to serve in the way that God has designed you to. So that statement and all of the conversations we've had to support it, I'm hoping gave you guys some good understanding and applicable things that you could, apply along the way on your journey to have an impact both in your developing your authentic relationships, but also in pursuing your purpose and your passion here that, in the way God has designed you to show up and serve. So let me take a moment because I think I have some responses. Oh, okay. Thank you. Justin's being honest. He's like, I don't know about the embrace, what the embrace means, to be honest. Hopefully it's not a final. Okay, he said, oh, I see what you're saying. Some people, they have their own opinions about that, if you agree or not. True. Okay. Well, I appreciate your honest answer. Justin's like, I'm not sure what that means, Charlotte. And that's good. That's why hopefully you're on here tonight and you have a better understanding of what that means. So I will definitely go over it. Before I go over it, I'm going to answer the question that I posed to you guys tonight, which is, what do you think your God-given superpower is, and what would it look like if you submitted to it? And so I believe my God-given superpower is my voice. And that is not, maybe some people who know me as a singer primarily would automatically go to me singing. But I don't think of it in just that perspective or that one angle. I think in totality, my voice, like I look at myself as a vehicle and my voice to be a vehicle in the way that I can convey messages of truth or messages that of godly principles, whether that be me singing, whether that me be coming here and doing the podcast, or going out to do public speaking, or writing books, putting those thoughts to pen, or words to pen, and making it an artifact in a book. All of those methodologies, right, is the way that I can become a voice for God's truth. So I think that's my superpower. I am grateful though for the singing aspect, because it didn't realize until, well, no, I think I realized, I was about to say, I didn't realize until early, like later on in life, how much of a privilege it is to be able to sing. I just remember my sister-in-law, sister in love, saying that to me one day, like, it's a privilege to sing. Like, if I could sing, I'd be singing, all day. And you can just open your mouth and, sound lovely and sing. And definitely when she said it, it struck a chord. But I think I realized the privilege of it a little bit before that, in the way that I had to, it was such a, I guess, a labor of love for me, because I developed stage fright from such a early age. So it felt like an uphill battle for me to be able to like cultivate my gift and really come forward, whether I was singing just in the privacy of my own home, or if it was a small crowd, to definitely, fighting. It felt a battle when I would go on stage and have to be a public display in front of many people, right? I had to conquer that fear. So I realized, because of the work that I had to put in, that definitely it is a privilege for me to get to, right, each level that I arrived at. But I don't think until she said it in the way that she said it, like, it's a privilege to sing. Like, not everybody's not born with it, So the fact that you can, I think I'd been feeling like I had to fight and conquer that fear for so long that I didn't embrace it in the way, I guess, in more gratitude and honor in the way that she said it. So definitely, that is my superpower. And for me, man, how would it look like if I completely submitted to it? It looks like basically me completely just like letting go. And all I can think of is how it feels on stage when I've had the beautiful, gracious opportunity to forget about everyone who's there. And I guess as a singer, we would, maybe some singers would identify it as becoming one with the song, or becoming one with the performance that you're in such a way that the people who you're singing towards feel it and they're moved by it. And they're like, I don't know if any of you on here has ever had that experience where you went to a concert or some kind of live performance, and you just know that either whatever that person or performer is performing or singing, either that came from the depths of their soul and that they just put it all out there, or that they are so immersed in their art that the inner critic inside of them, just kind of diminishes, and everything, it just becomes a work of art, because they're just trusting the process and they're completely immersive in what it is that they have taken upon themselves to do, and how they have chose to display their art to the people who are present. So that's what it definitely would look like, as far as like a feeling. Now, what I would like, we'll see, because we know that God, you can know your God-given purpose, right? But the details, God doesn't always give us the details of how it's going to specifically unfold. So if I guess, could write the details for me as far as how it would look as an outcome or a product or a result for me. I always say I want to, at least one time just tour the world, combining the ways that I believe God has fortified or developed and cultivated my voice to be used. So I would tour the world doing concerts along with also having coaching sessions. And so the best example I can give you is Tony Anthony Robbins. Anybody on here? Absolutely love him. He is amazing. I don't even know if I can call him just simply a coach. Yeah, just amazing, in my opinion. And I remember I came across that he does these like weekend long retreats in that way, and they play music and people get pumped up and things like that. I don't know if they have live performances. At least the video that I watched, they didn't, but they did play music and get the people all pumped up. And then he would do these lengthy workshops where people were like dealing from like really heavy stuff to maybe it's someone who is an entrepreneur and wants some kind of direction. So it would be something tailored along the lines of that, where I would wholeheartedly, for me, get to express all of the gifts that I believe God has given me to serve. So that would come in the forms of, performance, of course, singing, but I love the arts overall. And I think that it's, we see ourselves easily through the world of art, whether you're watching a movie and it reminds you about your life, etc., or you hear a song and it makes you think of it. So it would have something, in the vein of the arts, and then of course having moment to go over the coaching and talk about life lessons, life principles, relationship skills, and things like that. Because I know, and you guys let me know who are on here, where maybe you might have went to a concert and you've had a great experience, but then after that high is gone, right? And then you leave, and then it was just a moment, great moment, but you might not have something like that can plant a seed that you can take away, and then that could continue to have residual effects. So I would like for people to come to my concerts, experience my voice and the authenticity of me performing, and then whether it's the next day. When I used to do it at my home, I would perform like just a couple of songs, maybe like 2 or 3, and then I would do my workshops, and when I have, performed outside, in public venues, that's what I've done as well. So that's what it will look like for me, right? But that's what I think my plan is. I don't know how it will unfold or what God has for me, but definitely my superpower is my voice, and how that would look if I completely submitted to it is it would get loud enough to where it silences my inner critic and silences, right, the external critics as well, to where I am completely one with what it is that God has put me here to do. And I'm okay with standing in that truth wholeheartedly. So that's what it would look like as a feeling. Hopefully, what it will look like as an outcome is me touring the world using my voice as well as, right, not only in song, but through communicative, right, other communicative ways. So that is my answer. Anyone on here, feel free to let me know what your answer is, because that's what we're talking about tonight, the statement. Some people embrace, but they don't submit. What do you think that means? And what do you think your God-given superpower is? And what would it look like for you if you completely submitted to it, right? Like, what would it look like? So let's start. And anybody new who might have just popped in. Also, I also posed another way you can think about that question. So hopefully, I like to get you thinking, and possibly maybe present the question to people, loved ones, to facilitate interesting and conversations that will increase depth of connection, right? So you can also think of this question in this way and ask your loved one, what do you think you've submitted to, and what are some of the greatest benefits and gains you've got from it? And what were some of the challenges that you had to face, right? Because I told you my challenge, my superpower is my voice, and I think it's now looking back. I didn't feel like it then going through it, but I would say that it's probably befitting, right? That I would have so many, especially in the realm of singing. I've never really been fearful public speaking, and I think that's because acting was like my first love. So it was I got the training to be able to dive into another character's perspective and point of view and articulate those messages. So it's almost like it's a cloak because it's not you, right? It's like it's not you. It's a character that you're acting out, even though you have to take elements. Any good actor pulls elements of their experience and things like that to bring that character to life. But for me, I think it was a cloak, that I could kind of hide in. So it made me very comfortable always to articulate messages and speaking and knowing, how to do that and make impact in that way. But singing, oh my gosh. Any singer knows, like, you are the instrument, right? There is no piano, there's no drum, there's no saxophone, there's no other instrument, right, or other medium for you to convey this beautiful art through. Like, your body, what you're going through, your emotions, or you are bare, you are the instrument, right? And so that for me was a very vulnerable space. That's where my challenge is, right? So if somebody asks me, that's what I would tell them, definitely my superpower is my voice. And here, some of the challenges that I faced was definitely my own. I was I was my greatest inner critic when it came to singing, and being vulnerable. And then after I was able to kind of get over that and develop that, then I had to, deal with the next level of, okay, other people, and their perspectives about what I was doing, or how they received me or how they didn't receive me when I was performing, right? So you have to silence both of those critics to be able to fully engage and fully be your authentic self, because it only any good performer or singer knows it only resonates when you are authentic. And that's with anything, right? Whether it's performance or whether it's relationships or anything else, right? It only resonates when it is your truthful experience. Other than that, people are going to tell and they're going to be like, that's pretty fake, So that's what I would say. So definitely, if you think of it and you want to share it, you don't have to. Let me know. What do you think your God-given superpower is, and what would it look like if you completely, wholeheartedly submitted to it? So let me break down the statement and what I believe that means, that some people embrace, but they don't submit. And I want to give you guys a simple example because I love, as you guys, know who's been here with me and what I just said, acting was really my first love before singing and anything else. And so I love storytelling. And I thought about an example in a story that I can offer you guys that I think would be a very, I'm hoping, would be a story that can kind of clarify what that statement means. Now, let me know if anyone on here has heard of the book 3 Feet from Gold, Turning Your Obstacles into Opportunities. I'll say it again, 3 Feet from Gold, Turning Your Obstacles into Opportunities. All right. The book is by, let me say the name right too, Sharon Lecter and Greg Reed. And basically the book uses the metaphor 3 feet from gold to tell and introduce the story of this prospector who basically, after digging for so long, right, and it's based on a true event, he's been digging for gold, right, for some time without success, right, and then he literally gives up and sells his equipment, right, and then the buyer who he sells it to literally starts digging and digs just 3 feet further and strikes gold. Whoa. Now, if you guys are anything like me, I'm telling you that that story hit me, right? Because I know for me, there definitely has been multiple times, definitely in the avenue of performance and singing, where I was just like, okay, you know, maybe this is not for me. Like, no, definitely from my first, exposing and let you guys know my part of my journey. The first part of my journey is the first time I sung. I was 9 years old, and I sung this cute little, Christmas song. Well, I don't know if I guess, yeah, it's mainly sung around Christmas. I sung it around Christmas for our Christmas kind of church service away in the manger. And, I always share the story that I developed stage fright from that, because I looked at there was an older young lady who was teaching my young adult choir, and amazing singer, amazing singer. And every time I would see her sing, people would, as what the term we use in church is, get completely filled with the Spirit. Lots of hallelujahs, lots of just being completely impacted by her voice. And when I saw her do that, and when I saw the reaction of the people, the response, I was like, oh my gosh, that's what I want to do. Like, that's what my voice is going to do, right? Never putting anything into context of like, how long has she been singing? Her journey might not look like mine's. No, it was like, that's what I saw, and that's what it's going to be for me. Never singing a day in my life, right? And I'm Jamaican, cute little Jamaican accent, very squeaky voice. I have a very high pitched voice, not on here, and thank goodness, because I don't know how many people would continue listening if it just stayed high. But anybody who has listened to my songs, right, like my range is very high. So when I was a young girl, it was very, very, very high pitched voice. So I sung the song, and it was cute. It was very demure, very cutesy, right? Like, it was cute, right? But I didn't want to be cute. I wanted to be impactful. I wanted to be soul stirring. That's what I wanted. But that's not what I got. So, the crowd chuckled. They laughed. I perceived it as they were laughing at me because I wasn't good enough, because the response was not the same response that they gave this young lady. And I ran off the stage, dropped the mic, and couldn't complete the song. And once, I did go back out there, I don't believe I completed the song. I think she just kind of sung, tried to like influence me and encourage me to continue singing it, but she ended up singing it. And after that, I was just like, okay, well, yeah, I tried it. Singing's not for me. Yeah, no. Nope, nope, nope. And I was completely, at least I thought in my mind, completely okay with that. And, 14, high school, I was like, okay, I'm joining chorus because I just want an easy A. There's lots of us. He's not going to be able to tell, at least in my mind. That's what I thought. The teacher's not going to be able to tell with so many students who's faking the funk. I'm going to lip sync my way to an A. But yeah, that didn't work either, because I'm learning, and that was probably one of my first introductions to that, is that when there's a calling on your life and when there's a destiny, you think you can hide in the background, but no, God's like, no, no. I want, and I'm grateful to God for it, right? Because I look at it as I will not do that. That would be a disservice to you, right? To me, that's how it's learning that lesson, and to me, what God's communication to me in letting my chorus teacher not allow me to fake the funk and lip sync. I will not do that disservice to you, Charlotte, because I know what I put inside of you. So you can try to hide, as they say, you can try to hide, you can try to run, you can try to, what is it, chuck and jive? I probably said that wrong. It's a very old statement. But nonetheless, I'm saying that you can try all you want to escape that destiny, but you won't be able to escape it. It's for you. And so I'm grateful for God in that way. I'm grateful for my music teacher in that way, because he didn't give up on me, because the fear, as I've expressed many times before, was so crippling that I thought I was tone deaf because I would just sing off key. And thankfully, right, that we have other skilled and gifted people in the world that can identify some of the things that are blocking us and help us get to the other side. But what I appreciate about that, what I call him my musical mentor, he didn't ask to be that, but I just was like, yeah, you're my musical mentor, and rightfully so, because I wouldn't be the artist or the singer that I am today without him, for sure. So my teacher, Mr. Daly, what I appreciate about him is not only was he able to identify the gifts inside of me beyond, right, the fragility, and the weaknesses that I was so kind of consumed by and was showing, because of the things that were going on within my heart. But he could see beyond it, right? He could see beyond it and see the true gift within the absence of fear, right? With the absence of fear, which is amazing. Like, just the fact that he was able to do that, especially when it's such an obvious thing. You hear it when somebody is like singing off pitch. I just did a teaching job at one of the schools in this district, and I was sitting at the table, and I was so immersed because I was studying something, and a couple of the teachers came over at the table, and one of the teachers I know because I had to substitute for, I didn't have to, I chose to substitute for a music class, and then that teacher also co-teaches with this other teacher who is an acting teacher, and it was great because I was able to go in the class, and she involved me in it, and she asked me my background, and I got to tell her that, yeah, I definitely was heavily into acting before. I did a couple of acting jobs, and she had me get up and speak to the class and things like that. And so she knew that I was a singer and that my background in the arts. And so they asked me who I was, and I just kind of told them what I was doing right now, here and there. I'm substitute teacher for such and such. And she's like, and she's also, because I'm trying to be incognito, But she was like, yeah, she's also a singer. And I was like, yep, I am. And one of the teachers said, my daughter just did her first singing lesson, and she was sharing, that it went well, but at home, when her daughter has her headphones on and she's just singing the song all out, how it doesn't sound that great, and I was just telling her, you know, give her some space, give her some room, she'll grow, definitely, especially if you're putting her in lessons, because as they say, it's not always meets the eye, right? Like what you see or what you're hearing, underneath that can really be a true gift that she possesses that just needs some nurturing and cultivating. So, I share that with her because I know the background of my story. Because definitely, if I was my music teacher back then, at least I think, I would have been like, oh no, maybe you're right. Maybe you shouldn't do this, But the fact that he could see beyond it, and, and so I bring up that example, because that's what it is, the difference between embracing and submitting, right? It's that 3 feet from gold, right? And we have been breaking it down, all of those statements, but those last 4, accept, receive, embrace, and submit, that's where like life starts to get, real exciting, where we talked about before, some people hear but don't listen, some people listen but don't understand, right? And those are the beginning steps. But we have been talking throughout this series that's when, right, that's learning how to process, in the mental plane, right? Learning how to delineate, right? If you're just hearing things, you're not able to delineate between the noises and how noise that, that's being presented to you, and how I use that as an example in the relationship space is that, listen, life goes, as they say, life's, it keeps rolling. And there's so many things that come day to day, noise and knowledge, that comes to us that, unfortunately, if we just kind of go along our lives by default, just doing on to the next, checking off the to-do list, daily things that you have to do, it can have an effect where it drowns out the wisdom that God has placed inside of you, right? Or where it drowns out where, okay, let me lean into this message that is coming to me because it might have some more substance to it that I need to pull from. So, right, but all of that is delineating, right? Like, okay, yeah, okay, I'm not just hearing things. I know I'm awake. I'm not just, I'm alert, I'm aware as far as how I'm taking things in. So that can create a pathway where I can start to actually truly, right, harness the power of listening. And then you can choose to listen, with your heart rather than just letting something bounce, off, just in your mind, right? And you can start to listen with your heart and then give thoughtful consideration, right, to the things that you're now starting to say, okay, yeah, all of this is noise, but I'm going to hone in on this, right? And hone in meaning I'm going to put it in the mental plane. I'm going to give it thoughtful consideration so that now understanding comes about in me. But, right, not but, and we started when we're talking about accept, receive, embrace, and submit. That is the process of now it's no longer just circling into the mental plane, but it is now trickling down to the heart space. And when things get into the heart space, that's when true transformation can really happen inside of us.